In this video, we'll be talking about the respiratory quotient, or we also call it as RQ in short. Now, this RQ value is also known as respiratory ratio. So, we also recall it as respiratory ratio. Now, this respiratory ratio, what do we mean by it? The respiratory quotient or RQ is the ratio of CO2, that is carbon dioxide produced, to the amount of oxygen which is being consumed when the food is being metabolized. So the amount of CO2 produced to the amount of oxygen used, that ratio is, or it gives, the respiratory quotient. And this respiratory quotient is a good indicator. Now, how do we calculate this RQ value or the respiratory quotient? Respiratory quotient is calculated as, or RQ, volume of CO2 evolved or produced during the metabolization of the food upon the volume of oxygen consumed. This value directly gives us, or this formula directly gives us the RQ value. The RQ value, that is the respiratory quotient value, indicates which macronutrient are being metabolized, because we know that not only the food which we are taking in is not consisting only of the carbohydrates. It is a mixture of various kinds of macronutrients. So the RQ value gives us an idea of which macronutrient is being metabolized as energy pathways, because the different energy pathways are being utilized for fats, carbohydrates and proteins that we have studied in the previous video. The RQ value, therefore, as you can see over here, it depends upon the type of respiratory substance used during the process of cellular respiration. So if we can directly, we know the macronutrients, that is the carbohydrate, fats and proteins. We'll be studying how, or we'll be doing how to calculate it. The RQ value can be calculated for a particular substrate. Let us talk about first the carbohydrate. Now, when we talk of carbohydrate, we know the carbohydrates are the main energy substrates or main respiratory substrates. Glucose, that is C6H12O6, and in presence of oxygen, that is the amount of oxygen, it breaks up or it produces 6 carbon dioxide molecules, 6 water molecules and certain amount of energy which is being produced by the breaking down of this. Now, if we calculate the number of molecules of oxygen and the number of carbon dioxide molecules, we'll put them in formula. So 6 carbon dioxide and 6 oxygen, we get the value as 1.0. So the RQ value of carbohydrate is equal to 1 over here. Let us also talk about, or let us do the other respiratory substrate, that is fats. Though all of these follow different pathway, but we are going to calculate the respiratory quotient and relate how or which macronutrient has the maximum respiratory quotient. Now here I am using tripalmitin, that is 2 molecules. We are using the balanced ones, C15, H98 and O6 plus 145 oxygen molecules will give 102 molecules of carbon dioxide, 98 molecules of water plus energy is being released. Now again, putting the values, we get 102 carbon dioxide by 145 molecules of oxygen, and after calculating the values come as 0.7. So the RQ value of fats is 0.7. Another is protein. In general, average RQ value, if we see, or breaking down of proteins such as albumin and all, the general value if we see, it comes out to be 77.5 CO2 molecules of oxygen, carbon dioxide, and 96.5 molecules of oxygen. That gives us a value of around 0.8 or it may go up to 0.9. That is 0.8 or 0.9 is the RQ value of proteins. So this is when we see all the three macronutrients. They are having different RQ values. Let us do some more. Let's talk of some organic acids, which are also the nutrients, macronutrients over there. Some organic acids such as oxalic acid. So oxalic acid we are taking. Oxalic acid, 2 molecules, and I'm just gives 4 carbon dioxide and 2 molecules of water plus energy. So on calculating, we get RQ value of oxalic acid is 4 carbon dioxide and 1 molecule of oxygen. So the RQ value is 4 over here. Same way we can calculate for different kinds of acid. Now here it is important for us to understand that whether the value is 1 or greater than 1. The RQ value can be greater than 1 also. It is interesting that to know that RQ value of balanced diet. RQ of balanced diet is 0.85. Precisely, if we are talking of a normal, healthy person. But since balanced diet changes from age to age, the range can vary. That means it can increase or it can decrease depending upon the age, because different age groups require different kind of balanced diet. So RQ is a good indicator because it is helpful in planning of nutritional therapy. Nutritional therapy is actually important during certain kind of medications or to judge the calorie intake. So thus, if an RQ value of greater than 1, suppose if the RQ value is greater than 1, then it can indicate or it indicates more intake of carbohydrate or calorie and increased production of carbon dioxide. While if the RQ value is less than 7 or a little lesser, then it might suggest the underfeeding and use of proteins, that is the ketones, as the fuel source. So actually the respiratory quotient gives us an idea of the type of the respiratory substrate which is being metabolized to produce the energy.